Hi everyone. If you can hear me, just type a Y in the text chat. Excellent. Welcome to our Reconnecting with Your Soul Purpose program, which I'm very excited to be putting on, and something which I've been exploring in a lot more depth in my own life, and the power of our limitless brain to create our future and create whatever it is we want in our life. Who's here to really learn to expand your life and reconnect and find meaning in your life? Just type a Y if that's you. That's really why you're here today. Like, you know, there's something missing in your life. Absolutely. Basically, life is short, and without meaning, really life is nothing. You know, this is, in our surveys, we've discovered the biggest thing that people want more than anything else is meaning in life. I have met people who have made tons of money and admit that it means nothing if you don't have meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. I always like to start with this quote from Alice in Wonderland, where she says, "Have I gone mad? I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers, but I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are." Who here basically will own up to being bonkers, being a nut job? I will put my hand up to start off. Just say me in the chat if you know you're a nut job, or just raise your hand. Who wants to be normal in this world, everyone? I'm sure none of us. On that note, some housekeeping to get started. So, yeah, normal sucks. I couldn't agree more. But main thing is to really be focused. We're going to really go into this and share some really cool stuff. Handwritten notes are always best. Please feel free to put questions or comments in the chat throughout. Just understand we're not going to answer them unless they directly relate to the webinar and what we're going to be on. So, on that note, this is one of my favorite quotes. The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. So ultimately, this is what we're here for. I was very fortunate, and I worked that out when I was 18. In fact, I was just telling someone today about a profound encounter I had unexpectedly in a church when I was 18 years of age, and when I was a skeptic. And it changed my life completely. From that point on, I knew my purpose. I knew where I wanted to go in my life. And if anything, my biggest frustration was things didn't always go as fast as I would have liked things to go. So today I'm hoping to open the gate for some of you to really discover your purpose and know who you truly are and why you were here and what you were born to be. Just raise your hand if you're like, yeah, man, yeah, baby, I'm ready. Raise your hand, make a comment in the chat if you're ready to do it. Excellent. So, I like what James Allen says in As a Man Thinketh. Unless thought is linked with a purpose, there is no intelligent accompaniment. It's a really good starting quote on this one. And in fact, Allen goes as far as to say, those who have no purpose in their life are an easy prey to petty worries, fears, troubles, and self-pitying, all of which are indications of weakness. Do you show me someone who's got mental health, who feels lonely and empty, who feels meaningless? I will show you someone who doesn't have purpose and direction in their life, and they feel like they're floating on the sea, like a basically ship with no direction in life. So you're a bit like a ship, but it's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, have no idea where you're actually going. Just type a Y if you know that's you right now. You feel like a little bit like a ship in the Atlantic Ocean. You just don't quite know where you're at right now and where you're going, and you want to really get your ship steered in the right direction. Yeah, absolutely. So 100%. So one of the interesting things was, and this has been we've been involved in a big research project, trying to discover and unlock the keys, and we're going to be announcing more of this over the coming weeks and days and months. But we've been really locking in. I've been working with a team of experts to uncover the secrets of wealth, prosperity, and like what we call the magic code that switches it all on that helps find meaning. I know that sounds a little bit over the top, but like the secret and science of limitlessness. I've been hungry for that for a long time now. After my experience at 18, I've been on this quest ever since. And I was telling someone I'm so crazy. I've always said death and taxes, I want them to be optional for me. immortality, teleportation. I've said, well, if we can start doing AI and virtually robots, we can certainly do that. So one of the things that's very interesting that I've discovered is that getting rich and prospering and fulfillment in life is directly linked with definiteness of purpose. In every book and everything we've studied and explored, this is a secret. You show me someone who doesn't have purpose, and I'll show you someone who's got challenges in their life financially, who've got challenges in their life health-wise, challenges in their life with relationships. If you have struck on 2 or 3 or 3 of those, just say me in the chat. That's what starts to happen. If you don't have definiteness of purpose, you show me someone who's got purpose, and I'll show you someone who has a suffering, if anything, is more of a nuisance to them because all they want to do is have nothing get in the way of fulfilling their dream and their goal. Someone without purpose really continues to distract themselves from the misery and futility by creating subconscious health issues, financial challenges, and often end up attracting into toxic relationships, questioning their self-worth. This is a common thing. And as Napoleon Hill discovered in his studies, you're the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can create your life as you want it. You can become the master city. You can become the Jesus, the miracle worker of your own life to create and direct the stage of your future. If that's you and you're keen for that, just type a Y. And if you're all ready for that and looking forward to do just that. Fantastic. I love it. Great to see people engaged. So we're going to be looking at all kinds of stuff today. We're going to be looking at the secrets of mystery school and how they've really taught some of the ancient sciences. Many of the things that we see as woo-woo today were understood as scientific principles, normal stuff that people did. Nothing particularly great, major, out of this world, or anything to be too fussed about whatsoever. It's amazing how we've done that, how we kind of get ourselves caught up in stuff and we lose that because we start to believe stuff and it just isn't basically true, just isn't true at all. So anyway, let's continue to move forward. What you're going to be learning here is our 3-step protocol to reconnecting with your soul purpose and living your daily life. So this is going to be a free one today. Let me explain how it's going to work. You'll be learning the first step is on awakening and reconnecting to your soul purpose and who you truly are. In other words, you've got to know where you're going. If I'm on a boat in the mid-Atlantic Ocean, it helps a lot if I at least know that I'm on the way to, say, the Maldives, or I'm on the way to an island, in the middle of it. At least if I know where I'm going, even if the ship is everywhere, I've got some idea and I can direct my intention towards that. The next step after that is to clear the blockages and the shit that's stopping you doing it. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and lost, there may be a whole lot of baggage. Your ship may be overwhelmed, over-baggaged. You might start throwing things off the ship or just having to fix a few problems to get the boat going faster, fixing the compass, getting the map clear to get your directions and your bearing. Then you're on the way. Then the final thing is actually doing it and living it so your ship gets to a desired destination. So you truly live a meaningful, fulfilled, and prosperous life. I was saying to someone the other day, I got a health checkup just literally only 3 days ago. I got another one 30 days ago in Bali. And literally in Bali, I've seen this guy many times. He's a brilliant healer and priest. And he said to me, first time I ever worked with you, Warren, there's not a single chi blockage in your body anywhere. You are in your flow. I said, well, I am in my flow. I just said, I know where I'm going in life right now. My only frustration is I want it to happen faster. And it's interesting because when I was younger and didn't know my purpose as well, or when I was still trying to work myself out, I had a lot more health problems, financial problems, everything else. So once you start finding and directing your life in purpose, everything else starts to work itself out really quickly. So this is the aim of the game. Get yourself sorted out and find meaning in your life and find purpose and find real, genuine direction. So what we're going to be doing at the end is giving you an opportunity to enroll in a program that will help you to do that. And we're going to be doing more stuff around this. So it's going to be quite specifically tailored, quite specifically geared to help you really get on top of your soul purpose and work out who you are and be guided into it. So, and I'm calling it blank check prosperity, and I'll show you what I mean. I've actually done an exercise even recently that Jim Carrey talked about, where I've had a check designed up and I've got lots of them. I'm carrying them around with the amounts I want because I'm convinced that literally the universe is a blank check. We can write on the blank check and on the script whatever we want with our life. It's just most of us don't dream big enough, we don't aim high enough, and we go too small. We tend to focus on what we think we can get rather than what we really want. We put up with a partner that we think that we're worthy of having rather than aiming to meet someone who really does float our boat, inspire our hearts and our souls. We take the money in the things that we think we can have rather than what we really want. I saw this the other day talking with someone, a friend of mine in Ukraine, and she just said, look, I just don't see any way out of my mess. I'm stuck here. And I said, well, as soon as you think like that, you are stuck. Because as soon as you fix your brain on negative outcome, your brain goes, okay, and your brain will work towards keeping it in place. The brain and the human mind is an extraordinary thing. We have the capacity to create ourselves heaven or hell literally by our thoughts. And most of us are creating hell because we have fixed ideas. We label ourselves as ADHD, for example, rather than saying we've got ADHD symptoms, but I know how to fix this. We label ourselves as arthritic or we label ourselves as poor or broke. Poverty is one of the worst illnesses you can have. Whoever said money will never make you happy obviously didn't have very much. That's all I can say. So the whole idea is blank prosperity means you start to write the script of your life. You say me if that's where you want to be today. You want to start being the writer of the script of your life. I'm convinced of this more than ever. Brilliant. So now, even if you don't enroll in this program, you're going to get tremendous value from doing it. I can tell you that now. That's the whole idea of this. So anyway, you don't know your purpose and what you're here to do, or even if you do, you don't know how to make it happen in real life. That seems to be the problem for many people. You don't know it, or even if you know it, you're like, well, what the heck? I was in category 2 for quite a while. I'll be honest with you. I worked out my purpose relatively early, but then I found my biggest issue was I really didn't know how to make it happen. So I was tending to kind of stab around in the dark and try different things. And only really when I focused my mind more clearly and started to take more specific steps and learn how to fine tune it, was I able to step in and do more of it. So does this sound like you? I'm going to give you a few different categories. I mean, you can tell me which one most resonates with you. You feel disconnected from your soul purpose and you really don't know why you're here. You're frustrated and at times you feel lonely and your life is meaningless. If any of these numbers resonate with you, just type it in the chat, like for yourself, like 1. Another one is you've got money, but you just don't feel alive with your purpose, is on a meaningful life, and you're just doing stuff you'd rather not be doing for money. Third one is you know your soul purpose, but you feel stuck from doing it. You just really don't know. You don't know how to clear the blocks or shit in the way and break your mental patterning. So just 1, 2, or 3, just type which one resonates with multiple, just type multiple. So just going back over them again, 1 is you feel disconnected and meaningless and just don't know why you're here. 2, you've got money, but you really don't feel aligned with your purpose. And you're doing things you'd rather do for money. Number 3, you know your purpose, but you're just like, how do I do this? Okay, so quite a few multiple. It's a few more. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Yep, different people, different places. Excellent. So 1, great. Is there anyone that falls into category 4? You're actually in a fantastic place in your life, but you just really want to break through. You're hungry. Is anyone, just type a 4 if that's you. If you actually are in a really good place in your life, but you're like, I really don't know where to go. Yeah, gotcha. Excellent. So what happens when you don't know your soul purpose? One of the things you start to realize really quickly is that we're the master gardener of the soul, the director of our lives. So in other words, we are more a creator. Many of us, I can remember when I was younger, I honestly thought life was kind of this random thing. I still remember seeing the Napoleon Hill book in my 20s and going to someone, what a stupid book. I mean, I can't control my thoughts, they just come. That was what I actually said at the time. And eventually I realized how flawed that thinking actually was. Without knowing your soul purpose, you're vulnerable in many things. You're likely to end up in a job you hate. Now, you show me someone who's got purpose and a dream, and you will be in a job business you hate more likely, because you'll just put up with what you get. Many people are in jobs, they're trying to meet high cost of living, they're working in stuff they really hate doing, they're living short of their destiny and their future, just because basically they don't know where they're going. Whereas when you know where you're going, you will not put up with shit. Another common thing is toxic relationships. Again, many people end up, they feel empty, they want anything to help them feel, feel good, or at least feel emotions. So hence we end up in toxic relationships. We have bad experiences with money because we start getting anxious and think more money and getting rich will solve it. We can start to fall into a rut and become miserable and depressed. We start to feel lonely and futile. I can remember doing a mental health grief management course after my partner died. And I remember the meaningless and futility I felt for many months. And it was a frightening feeling for me. And just about everyone I met in the course were all sharing about having that feeling of complete futility. Health challenges. As Louise Hayes teaches, to know how to heal your life. Disease. You just lack ease. You lack a sense of well-being and feeling okay about yourself and about your life. So, and in my common law course, if anyone's done that, one of the things we do is, a child who knows their common law rights shall do well in life. This was how I got taught common law. This song, a child who knows their common law rights will do well in life. A child who doesn't know their common law rights, they are vulnerable to addiction, coercion, divorce, suicide. And suicide usually happens because people have lost meaning and purpose. Divorce happens because people don't see a way out. Coercion happens because we don't feel empowered enough within ourselves. We don't have any clear purpose. I got through COVID because I had purpose. I knew what I was doing. I knew and how I saw things. Addictions are a way of distracting from misery and pain. Just type, if any of you can relate to any of this, just say me or raise your hand. If you like, yep, I feel a lot of that. I feel I'm addicted to things. I'm a social media scroller. I'm a dopamine junkie. I'm a drug user, a movie binger, a sex addict, whatever it is, a money addict in some people's places, a workaholic. Yeah, and you can change all that. You can just start to really find meaning. And if you don't have a spiritual higher purpose that goes beyond yourself, something that really gives you meaning, that sees your life as beyond this earth and beyond basically who you really are, you will be unhappy, because this earth is not the end of it all. The earth is just the beginning of our next phases of our destiny. But when we don't see beyond this earth, we can get trapped in the misery and in everything that is going on, and so to speak. So the question is really if you're willing to take action, because the truth is it is going to require a lot of action. It's not going to magically happen. And we live in a world today where says everything's easy, that is all going to happen for you at the drop of a bullet. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get your purpose in an instant. I had an instant experience that changed my life. But then to actually live it and it basically involves clearing the shit that's in the way. Just type a Y if you're willing to do that. Do what it takes to get meaning and find your way forward. If you really are ready. And you hear this webinar, you're like, yep, Warren, I'm ready to go and I'm ready to do this and I'm ready to make this happen. Fantastic. If you are, I'll show you the path to reconnect your soul purpose. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a guide map. And look, I'll be upfront. It's not this today is going to really show you the way forward. It's going to show you what you need to do and give you a pretty decent idea. But then after that, then it's a question of doing something about it. So it's a bit about me. Some of you know me from different things. Some of you know me as a financial educator, former lawyer. I've really been on a quest to explore the mysteries of life really since I was 18. I I've had many awakenings myself. I've studied some of the quantum physics and sciences. I've studied most religions. I've found the common ground seems to be the ability of our consciousness and our mind to be able to create the life that we want. And as I put it, to ascend and return back to God. And what do I mean by that? Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. In other words, you return back to that sense of your higher self connected to what's called the higher energies or the higher consciousness. You can a realm or energy or creator that's much higher than you. So I see religion as way outdated now, and I'm sure that many of you would agree with me. Ken Wilber, in his Religion of Tomorrow, says religion is the old way of religion is ended. It's archaic, it's causing problems. The new form of religion sees there's many ways to God. It's more integrated. It involves shadow work. It involves growth. It involves all kinds of stuff. And it involves light bulb moments, growing up, and ultimately commitment and showing up. And if you want to find your life purpose and live it ultimately, you're going to have to show up. As well as, so you've got to grow up, as Ken Wilber says. You wake up first. Then what you got to do is you got to clean up, which means do shadow work, wake up, clean up. You got to show up, and you have to grow up. I don't know about you, I loved that, you know. So Wilber made it very simple. So Wilber, 4 stages basically of religion. He basically made it very, very simple. He said, you wake up, you clean up, you grow up, you show up, and ultimately you are going to grow up. So they're the 4 stages. And that's kind of the basic model of this 3-month program. The purpose of this program is following the Wilber model to wake you up and to start the process of cleaning up, provided you're willing to show up. And if you start to show up, you will start to grow up and then continue your journey. Who's ready to clean up and show up in their life? Just type a me if you are ready for this. Because that's what it's going to take. You got to be willing to clean up, show up. Excellent. If you are. And of course, William, who's my right-hand man, the head guy who manages the team and the healers and the energy workers and specialists to make sure that everyone gets an amazingly good experience. So now let's start to look at how you reconnect with your soul purpose. So we're going to start by discussing quantum energy, enhanced quantum energy clearing. So what I call EQ-EC, it's about focusing intention to direct energy and consciousness to clear blocks in our minds and hearts by working with higher energies to exercise the power and authority to perform clearings and reset the template. In other words, it's kind of like directing you to achieve a specific outcome. So the idea is to achieve an outcome that's going to change your life. So basically it's very similar to how AI works. If you think about AI, if you don't basically direct ChatGPT or AI software clearly, it will give you a strange outcome. ChatGPT is a really good example of how this works. You give very clear, specific, precise guidelines, you'll get fantastic outcomes. We have virtually written books like successfully using that stuff just by doing that. Similarly, if you direct your intention chaotically, you will get a chaotic outcome. If you direct your intention in a very harnessed way towards a purpose, you'll start to achieve an outcome. It's in the same way, but if you're sitting there with a radio dial, turning it around all over the place, it's going to keep changing and getting static after a while. If you turn your radio to a clear station and keep it there, then that station is going to give you a stable sound. In fact, even now, there's a Rife machine which enables you to get healings in your body by frequencies and readjusting your frequency. So the idea of enhanced quantum energy clearing is to help you learn to focus your intention better to achieve better outcomes, to discover your purpose, to clear the blocks that are in the way, remove the negative emotions and clear the blockages, which then transforms into your physical and psychological anatomy. This stuff I live in my life literally exponentially, everyone. I have healed many, many things in my life just by doing this, because I have now discovered that the etheric body You can do as much as you want physically, but if you don't clear the emotional etheric body, it will come back. Recently, someone in my family experienced a really bad gallstone attack. And I said this to him. I said, if you go to the doctors, which sure enough, the doctor said to him, you're going to have to pull it out. I said to him, well, Chinese medicine and enhanced quantum energy clearing protocol will tell you very clearly that first you've got to work out why this happened and what's going on. Let's direct the intention and energy to clearing you. Then we can do the physical protocols that come in to fix this. And in over a few weeks, we've actually fixed him completely just by using this. I've used etheric machinery, this machinery that can actually measure you and find where you're out of balance. We've been able to use direct intention of the mind to shift the frequencies, remeasure it, and see it change. John G. Lake, one of the great healers in the 1800s, was known for, they would actually get a microscope, and while he would be doing healing work or prayer work on people, they would see the viruses under a microscope and bacteria just shrivel up and die. We can do all kinds of stuff. Emoto's work shows this. And so really what we're doing is taking this to the next level to help you apply it in finding your life purpose. Just type a yes if you're really interested so far. If it's like, yeah, this is what I want to get better at. For me, this is the aim. I want to become the complete city and sage of my life, like never before. This is what we're focusing on more on an awakening within to help people do this. So we can become masters. I honestly believe if we do this and we master this for our life, we can change our country. We can change our world. We can change the direction of the new world order, everything. We just don't have enough people doing it right now. But if you have enough people doing it, as Hawkins showed in the Hawkins model of consciousness, we can do it. And right now, our world is heading down a slippery slope. And I don't know about you, but I'm fed up with it and I want to see change. And I know that going and doing a big protest and yelling is going to do very little in a world of AI where we've given up so much freedoms. So it's only going to change at the quantum consciousness level. That's where it's going to change. The type of me, if you're in with that, you're like, yeah, you want to become a master of this stuff so you can actually start to bring some real substantive changes in the world and in your community. Hopefully all of you. I think we all prefer a life of freedom than a life of slavery, which is by and large where our lovely government people are seeming to be very keen to take this. So let's continue forward. 3 steps to unlock your soul purpose and know who you really are. The first step is to know your soul group. Now, I'll be upfront. Look, if you go on the internet and research this area, there's going to be all kinds of different things telling you different stuff, and ultimately, really, it's always going to be a label, a way to help us understand something. It's always going to be that. But in saying all that, knowing who your soul group is, your unique identity, will really help you get more focused and harnessed in with your energies. And so there's no question, the more I've studied this, that we have interplanetary things. There's no question in my mind that we have a creator higher than us. There's no question in my mind that with millions of planets and stars, that we're not the only ones. There's no question in my mind that we've moved between different planets, different groups, all different kinds of things. So knowing your unique soul group helps you to really harness and think, why did I choose to come to Earth? Now, keep in mind, if you're on this webinar, on this class today, listening to me, there's no question that you're one of these people. Because not everyone's going to be like an interplanetary evolved being come to help Earth. Many people just come here to mess it up a little bit more and fuck around. That's just the fact. But you wouldn't attract to a webinar like this today unless you had a purpose and destiny, unless something in you knew that you had a reason to be here, and in a way you've chosen to come here or been sent. So we come from these what's called soul groups or families or tribes, and Indigenous groups know about this, like other planets, dimensional realities. So there's 7 common groups. And I'm saying 7 common because you'll hear of others if you search on the internet. You'll hear of Andromedans and various different groups. But ultimately, these are the main ones. The Alpha Centauri, the Blueprinter, the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Hadarian, the Mission Realmer. I remember seeing an extraordinary incident years ago with my partner at the time, the one, Sammy, who passed away, some of you know, where she was in a spiritual state. And she hadn't even known about any of it. She'd never done any of this stuff. And she just started saying out loud she was a Pleiadian. She'd been sent. And she started explaining what she was here to do while she was in a kind of altered state. And she literally said almost word for word exactly the mission of Pleiadians and what they do. It was quite a remarkable thing. I was sitting there with my mouth dropping, as was a guy running the ceremony, the shamanic retreat. And we've seen stuff like this many times. And we're all here for a reason. And all of us have something if we're here today listening. So we've been sent at some level to serve humanity and give this planet a bit of a shakeout and sort this out, because it certainly needs it. So let's start with the Alpha Centauri. And I like to keep things quite simple. So what's an Alpha Centauri? So Alpha Centauri is like a protector. They're very intellectual, and they have great problems expressing themselves emotionally, but at heart, they're protectors and guardians, objective and brilliant problem solvers, action service oriented. They want to serve, they want to change the world, they want to protect, they want to be guardians, but usually they're people who are emotionally very closed up. There's one of my mentors who worked with me was convinced that Tom Cruise is a classic Alpha Centauri, someone who's been definitely, he can see that with him. The second one is the Arcturians. And I often know when I'm around an Arcturian, they are very gifted healers. And I've seen some extraordinary healings happen when I've met people who are I can just tell are Arcturians. They just know, they actually break things down in steps and pieces. I've got an energy worker I work with in Lismore who has fixed stuff in me that no one else could fix. And he's very systematic. He follows a strict process of everything in the body, the fascia, the trauma, the release, everything. They're natural born healers. Another group which you may read about called the Lemurians, I'm not going to mention them, but they're another form of Arcturians or healers. The Lemurians, they're ones that have come with innate healing ability. They're very, very mathematical, very geometrical. They love any ways to improve the planet, and they want to bring a new future, and they want to bring practical modalities or technologies to help people. Many people, for example, are really gifted detailed kinesiologists, as an example, very likely as an Arcturian or a Syrian, which is another one we'll mention. Very likely, because they just want to do a process to structure and help people. A lot of like chiropractors, for example, may end up being an Arcturian or Syrian. The blueprinters, these ones are basically great visionaries. They're very advanced, for example, Elon Musk is a good example of someone who I've no doubt is a blueprinter. They're here to restore humanity to their divine blueprint and restore the DNA template to its correct function. They're here to change things. They're a more rarer type. I won't go into the 5 different types. This is something we go into in the program, but basically these are visionaries who are here to change things. And I know that whenever I had soul group readings, I was constantly told I was a blueprinter. And no question, I resonated with everything about this. I want to change things. I want to get people back to their divine template. I want to help people ascend back to source, back to God, back to our original template. It's never made sense to me that we come to Earth, live shitty lives, get sick and die. I've always thought that there's something more to it. So Hadarians, the lovers, they're very interesting Hadarians because these ones are very loving. They're often the most loveliest people. They're beautiful souls, easily fall into victimhood. They often end up in relationships, very codependent relationships. They're what's called relationship jumpers. They don't really like the idea of being alone and single, but yet often end up not being in loving relationships because they give up too much of their power. So all these soul groups have their strengths and weaknesses, but they're here to teach unconditional love. And like anything, your destiny or journey is to learn to master it and overcome your weaknesses. You've then got the mission realm, the governors. And like one of my sons is a mission realmer, like a classic one. Natural born leaders, incredible strength, they're naturally gifted, but they always feel like they don't belong here. One of my sons, who's a classic mission realmer, he literally is highly intelligent, very advanced, at 13 or 14, coming out with extraordinary wisdom. But he was a superstar footballer, naturally better than his brothers, but it was hard to keep him focused. He would kind of do his own thing and get bored very quickly. To give you an idea of a mission realm as a type, they often see things way before anyone else, but they often don't engage. To give you an idea, during COVID, when COVID started, he was only 14. And he just said very calmly, well, it's pretty obvious to me that the government don't care about our health, and no doubt someone's making a lot of money out of it. So I highly doubt this vaccine is going to do any good for me. It'll probably cause me problems. So there's no way I'm going to do this. But of course, he refused to conflict. He just stayed at home and did little things. But this was a 14-year-old coming out with this. So that's an example of a mission realmer, very advanced in their understanding of things. He tends to come out with wisdom beyond his years, even when we haven't taught him much. But yeah, they often feel victimized, disempowered, easily discouraged, and tend to switch off to life. So a big weakness of them is they don't feel like they belong. They think everyone's completely off the charts. They get miserable and often are trying to find ways in life to feel good because they just don't like the earth, so to speak, at times. Pleiadian. There's many people you see in acting, singing, creative people are Pleiadian. My partner, she was a Pleiadian. Great speakers, love to talk, like the center of attention, great in the arts, idealistic, often terrible at implementing, great musicians, great singers, but they often want so much to please people and make them happy, they don't always speak their truth. And, you know, someone like this is someone who's probably a Pleiadian, for example. So often they be healers or musicians or people who function in the creative arts. The final one I'm going to mention here is Syrians, the innovators. They are the kind of very detailed ones. A good example of a Syrian, for those of you who know business, might have heard of Frank Kern. His kind of way of doing things is a classic Syrian. He's very much into getting system. He or Ryan Dice with the machine marketing. They like to do everything in a systematic, precise process. Many chiropractors will often end up as being either an Arcturian or a Syrian. Engineers will often do it. They're very advanced technological. They like to break things down. They like to be analytical. They're very big on technology. They're very much getting more excited by that than creating a vision. They hear or see a vision and they want to implement something, do it. But they're often afraid of embodying their full power. And of course, as I've mentioned, you'll read about other soul groups like Andromedans and various other star seeds, but Lemurians, but for now, they're much rarer. It's very rare that someone falls them in those. Generally, if you were, you'd more likely be out doing the work and wouldn't even be on this webinar because you'd be a very advanced soul. So what groups resonates most with you? Anyone got a sense already and go, I can resonate with that one? Anyone resonate with any of those groups? Just type in the chat if you do. Because this leads to the question as to how you discover your soul group. Really, there's a couple of ways you can do this. The first way is you tune in and do it intuitively yourself. There's various ways you can do that. So like one of the things you might do, for example, when you're tuning into this, is to really work it out yourself and get a little bit of a sense or whatever else. So one of the things, for example, on this webinar, you can do this at home in your own time or whatever. So basically, you're going to feel the energy in the soul group. Which one jumps out at you, if any of them does? Does your energy rise, stay the same, or drop when you tune into one? So usually you might find something resonates with you. Like for me, for example, Hadarian does not remotely resonate with myself about. I'm nothing like a Hadarian. I'm definitely not a Syrian. I'm definitely not an Arcturian. I'm like, yeah, no way. I'm not even close. The only two that like Blueprinter always resonated with me, and to some degree Pleiadian. I always had a little bit of a resonating with that one too, but more a Blueprinter than a Pleiadian. Aiden Arcturian, yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me, Aiden, if you were that or a Syrian, not in the slightest. So the other way of doing that, of course, is doing it in your own time. And this is another way you can do it. You just basically do a meditation, is what this is saying. So you breathe, you meditate, and just ask your higher self to reveal your soul group, and then just let go and leave it. And then it will just come to you. That's one way of doing it. You just tune in and get a bit of a sense and go, yeah, this is my soul group. This is who I am. And then from there, let it be revealed to you. The other way, which is what I did myself, and I know William did, and now we do for clients, is getting a soul group reading. This is where you work with someone who can help you tune in and identify who your soul group is and instruct you and guide you in what to do. See, for me, as soon as I knew I was a blueprinter, it made life a lot easier for me. I was like, straight away, I knew that if I was a blueprinter, that my role was to put things in place and be a visionary and set up things for the future. And even my type of blueprinter was very much like that as well. So blueprinter and things like that. But also your soul gifts, which I won't go into today, which is learning that within your soul group, what are your gifts or talents or your unique strengths that are very important for you to understand about yourself to implement it. So understanding yourself is very important. I've done a lot of work on soul groups and soul gifts. I have done specialist personality tests, and because the more you understand yourself and your strengths and weaknesses, what your genius is, what you got to work on, and what you just stay away from, life becomes a lot easier. That's the first step. So just type a Y in the chat. If any of you have a sense, just type a Y and the group you resonate with, or if you don't have a clue, just type an N or don't know, just to give me a bit of an idea where people are at on this one. Okay. Yep, some know their soul groups. Just type a, yep, some don't know. Yeah, so it seems like quite a few don't really know. That's understandable. I didn't really know at first. It took me a while. Yeah, and this is why it's good. In fact, if you study about all great, generally anyone successful or on any kind of spiritual or awakening path, you're always going to have a mentor or some kind of guidance to step into anything. Even now, I've got mentors I work very closely with, which can help you. Now, the second step, and this is part of the Wilbur model of basically cleaning up, you've got to clear the shit that's in the way. Because the reason a lot of you don't know is you're just blocked. And the way to think about it is when my family member got severe gallstones, a lot of pain, I said that to him. I said, the problem is, I said, if you broke your arm, what would you do? He goes, I'd sling it up and rest it. I said, exactly. But I said, you've got a lot of toxins and that in your gallbladder and in your body, and you're not resting it. You just keep eating and keep eating. You've got to rest it. So I said, you got to fast. And so we did a fasting. We did a bit of a detox, a bit of a purge with him. We did a bit of a clean out. He vomited quite a bit. It felt terrible at times, but basically he got rid of his gallstones and he's now on the way to recovery. I fixed my gallstones. I fixed my symptoms of arthritis doing that same thing. I remember having a lot of weaknesses and a lot of lethargy and despondency. And of course, I finally worked out I had parasites and Epstein-Barr virus. So I did a whole big detox. I did a colonic eventually. I did 11-day fast to fix a whole lot of stuff, water fast and then juice fast, changed my life, fixed my liver up, cleaned it out. And energetically, many people are walking around and you're an absolute basket case. You're full of toxic energies. You're full of gallstones energetically. You got so many things in you. You got the programming of your parents. You got the programming of society. You got that ex-partner who literally left you a train wreck with the way they treated you. You may be in a relationship right now of a partner you're not really in any way in love with, and who you have got, and you're just drifting along with it, knowing it doesn't fulfill you anymore. You're in job you hate, but just kind of go along with it and put up with it. You're in friendships that you just don't fulfill you anymore, and you're just not really enjoying life anymore and just living it too safe. Just say if you relate to that, just type the word relate. If you go, yeah, I relate to that. Like, I can see I've got some shit I need to clear out. And if you don't know what it is, you do. It's that simple. You've got something going on. And once you clear it out and do a detox etherically, yes. So a few of you are relating already, which is good. Because the starting point is knowing it. And if you don't own it, and when you've got it, you're never going to fix it or clear it. So the first thing is to own it and then fix it and then clear it. So how do you clear the shit that's in the way that stops you living it? So basically, we do various clearings as part of our program when we do it. You know, there's various ways you can do it. We do energy etheric clearings. There's one-on-one sessions. You get time to integrate. By the way, I'm still doing that to this day. I've long done this and I'm still doing it. I do once a week clearings with William To me, it's like being in a bath. I don't basically decide I'm clean, so now I stop taking baths and showers. Within a month, if I was your friend, all of you would just be ready to ditch me as your friend in record time because I'd stink like high heaven. So I'd be like a British person, you know, never having a bath. That's a completely inappropriate joke, but those of you know what I mean. So because in Britain they have less baths and showers, so just me being completely my dark, horribly inappropriate humour. But anyway, the point I'm making is that yes, the whole idea is to is to get yourself cleaned up, and you want to do it regularly. So, as Wilbur says in The Religion of Tomorrow, it's continuing to clear the trauma. I am personally convinced that I've discovered the secret of anti-aging and reversing it backwards. I'm actually convinced of that. I know that's an insanely big claim to make, but Greg Braden talks about this. He talks about how trauma is what causes aging in our cells. I am now in my 50s and I'm healthier now than I was in my 20s. I have more energy than I had in my 20s. I have more, I'm the best weight I've ever been in my life. One way you could tell your gut health is by looking at your tongue, and if it's got a lot of colors or bacteria. My tongue is the clearest it's ever been when I wake up in the morning. And in theory, in my 50s, I should be getting worse. I'm getting better. And that's because I'm clearing my trauma. I'm doing energy etheric clearings. I'm personally convinced of it. I think that if we could completely clear everything, we could reverse aging. We could become all but immortal and then just choose whether we be here or not. Big claim to make, but I'm pretty convinced but I'm getting pretty close. I've met people who live long lives. There's no question they've learned to clear their traumas. They don't have a lot. They've learned to let go of stuff. I think trauma is the fastest way to age when we start to collect traumas and we start to collect belief patterns that don't serve us. So who, by the way, thinks it's pretty cool? Who's kind of like, yeah, I want to basically start looking young again? There's many of the great people in history that literally looked younger as they got older. There's lots of them. The Chinese white tigress empress priests were known for looking like they were 30s and 40s when they were 90. Such was the power they had of their anti-aging and things like that. So absolutely, it's the power of what we can do. And learning to master your brain state, learning to clear trauma and process trauma and completely remove it. So what do we focus on clearing when we do our soul purpose program with people? Raymond Grace is one of my great teachers. I love this guy. Generally, when we've done webinars, the Awakening Within, this guy has more people coming than almost anyone else. So I almost get jealous of him. I say that jokingly, but Raymond's amazing. Raymond just says, I'm a simple guy. And when he was asked in an interview, well, how is it you've achieved the astonishing things you've done? He just said in his hillbilly accent, well, I never believed. No one ever told me that I couldn't. And I like that. Nobody ever told me I couldn't. In other words, he said, if you think it, you probably can do it. Who now would have believed we'd see self-driving cars, see robots, see AI that could do emails better than a smart person, robot surgeons? I mean, it's mind-blowing what we can do, the way the internet works, and yet we're doing it. We do a clearing where we clear stuff because this stuff can really affect us. 5G, human resonance. We do clearings. I regularly clear myself of this. Clearing negative energetic patterns and thought forms and emotions contained within the body. Do that one regularly. It's why I do clearings. We call back your physical. Many people are disconnected from rape, from trauma, from abuse, from all kinds of stuff. And we can basically help you reintegrate your soul. That's another thing that we do. If you study the indigenous teachers and shamans and these kind of stuff, they all talk about this. There's a whole idea that our soul can get trapped and we've got these fragments and we become fragmented. So in fact, as Dr. Alberto Beloldo says, he says that in the Western world, he said we're way behind the Eastern world. We're still trapped in a logical Greek model, and we've lost that ability to understand these dimensional realms. Clear curses, hexes, spell, demonic influence, and discarnates, and unfortunately, evil exists. I mean, I think many people overemphasize evil and get too caught up in it, but there's no question it happens. And it can affect people, especially when you got it in your family background. We've seen healings happen when we've cleared the impact of curses from secret societies in people's lives from their ancestors, and we've seen astonishing shifts. Clearing the impact of social and news media and the impact of mass consciousness. The power of being able to do this is extraordinary. Since I've been doing this, I can spend hours on my phone or computer and it doesn't affect me. When I get tested on machines, I don't get affected by my computer, EMFs, anything, but that's because I clear myself daily and constantly. And we will be teaching you that in a soul purpose. Who would like to be able to live the world, get on the phones, get AI, and remain clear of EMFs and keep your mind clear? Just type a Y if you'd like to know how to do this and be able to clear yourself constantly. I can say that. I categorically now can do that. I fixed myself of a finger injury doing this stuff recently. We also transform the energy of water. I mean, just have to look at Dr. Emoto who did this. But what we've discovered and what Raymond discovered is when there's a lot of toxicity in water, the spirit of greed or pollutants can really affect water. And what Raymond has actually said is that once you start to, and I remember being in his workshop, right in front of our eyes, he cleared the spirit of greed and the pollutants from the water, got us to re-drink it after getting tap water, which tasted ghastly, and literally the water tasted beautiful. And I was in shock. I remember it changed my life as to what was possible when he was doing this with water, just by clearing out the radiological, medical, pollutants, everything. So these are the other things we do in that. We invite the spirit of water back into the water. Much of the water has lost the spirit of the pure water. And yes, water has a spirit. The Aborigines, the indigenous communities all teach and believe this: the spirit of the ocean, the spirit of the lake, spirit of the nature, of the forest, everything. These things are real. And just various other things that we've got here that we go ahead and do a bit of a clearing on. Then we clear your auric etheric attachments. And I love the auric clearing. This is what William and I do weekly, regularly. Because now etheric medicine has recognized this. And the best way to think about it is this: that mind body became really big in the early 2000s. And those of you who had mental health or medical issues back 30 years ago would have known that basically doctors would just give you vaccines and drugs, and anyone who was nutrition was a bit of a quack. Now, most doctors will acknowledge the importance of nutrition, how stress can affect the body, and even how emotional states of being can affect you. Psychologists who are seen as quacks and you're a nut job if you saw one are now referred by doctors. Doctors acknowledge the importance of mental health. It took a long time to be recognized. And Louise Hay talks a lot about this in her book and how even every illness in some level relates to something going on in you emotionally. My family member with the gallstones, I said, look at Louise Hay. It talks about frustration in your creative energy, feeling stuck and feeling hard and critical, bitter thoughts towards yourself and others. And he could really relate to that. So his gallbladder cleanse has actually healed a lot of his belief systems. And I've noticed he's softened a lot of his harshness in the way he was seeing the world and his judgment towards people. Psychologists and mental health became more widely accepted mainstream. And in the last 20 years, we're starting to see a growth in homeopathy, etheric medicine, frequency scanning machinery, Rife machines coming back, everything. In fact, this same family member, in fact, one of my sons asked me, he said, how did we end up in this place with this dark age of our health? Was it ever different? I said, back in the 20s and 30s, last century, I said, yeah. I said they were healing cancer, diabetes, and everything through water fasting, Rife machinery, and all kinds of stuff, cancer, everything. But I said the Great Depression, the pharmaceuticals bought out the all the companies, they bought out all of the natural stuff, took over it all, and then bit by bit drove it out to profit from that. What I find incredibly amusing is it's well known that the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the royal families, all are heavy users of etheric medicine screening frequency. They use machines, they use homeopathy, and that's their secret. But of course, they want to make sure that that's not what the masses do, because sickness is what makes money. Again, you can research this for yourself. So etheric medicine helps you to see imprints or problems that are about to enter the physical world in your body. That's why I do homeopathy, why I work with energy clearers. They help me see what's pending, what I'm missing. Even just recently, I was feeling a bit unusually exhausted and feeling frustrated about it, and I could not work out why. And what I actually discovered was the reason I was feeling that was when I got some etheric scanning, there were some emotional blockages coming up in my adrenals, and I was moving towards an adrenal fatigue. So we cleared it all out. And then I noticed within a day, my energy was back to normal. So Oxy was curing cancer using etheric medicine frequency devices. And so now, of course, as we were learning, a lot of this stuff we previously used, like we needed to physically have a CD or tape for music, now we just stream it. Likewise, it's not a difficult mental proposition that if we can screen my image onto your computer and phone, how easy is it for us to screen homeopathy and frequency medicine straight into you? We've been testing it. We've been seeing people heal of vaccine damage from the COVID vaccine, because the biggest damage of the COVID jab was in the etheric body. We've been clearing that for people. We are seeing where I've been doing energetic homeopathy on people from a distance and noticing it heals them. In other words, it's not really a far stretch for you to do things from a distance in the same way we can do this. It's just that humanity aren't quite there yet. The exciting thing is, for those of you who do this program, not only are you going to fix yourself up, but you may find that you get a hunger to be part of a whole new field of medicine, that you could become part of a cutting edge of etheric body healers, working with people that basically heal them. Just type of me if that really excites you, the thought of learning this, healing your own life and your family, and then being able to do it for others as well. Just type of me if that really excites you, the thought of doing that. Because there is opportunity here, I'm telling you, huge opportunity. I can tell you from research, we are about to reveal stuff. We've been researching markets, and there's a massive untapped opportunity in this that we're about to exploit, because it's a huge thing. People are craving this stuff now. But COVID woke people up. It really did. It made people realize there's something badly wrong with the world. People are starting to call out for energetic healings, medicine. I've met people now whose doctor is basically ChatGPT or AI software. There's so many things that are changing right now. Because the reality is, if we don't clear things from the etheric body, then guess what? It is going to eventually, it's going to inevitably result in disease, illness, accident, injury. Dr. Venus Williams, leading professor, PhD in Romania, did a whole thesis on this and pretty much said this is the future. And she was discovering ways to clear things before they manifested in the physical body. So, because anything not cleared from the etheric will manifest in the physical. So this is what Dr. Venus Williams and Ken Wilber have concluded. In terms of what auric etheric body clearing, and there's so many ways you can skin this cat. I've mentioned about homeopathy, Rife machinery, but I believe even that, we're next level we're moving to, because that still requires you to physically go on a machine. It still requires you to physically take the homeopathy. Like, it still requires you to get the drop and physically unwrap the drop and put it on your tongue, or to go to a chiropractor or kinesiologist. We're talking about reconnecting your soul purpose and doing energetic homeopathy, kinesiology, all in one hit. So you can basically get everything done in one big kit and caboodle, not just having to go to all these different things, clearing all this out of your auric etheric body. Everything from barbs, hooks, psychic energies you picked up from toxic exes, people around you who've got bitter thoughts towards you that you picked up without realizing. Basically, things that are really stopping us connecting to our higher self and causing our clarity. The reason that we're disconnected from our natural, authentic higher self and our purpose and from our state of crystal clarity is because we've got so many other people's thoughts, beliefs, projections, generational DNA. That's the kind of stuff you want to clear, so you're back to your true, authentic self. Because all these things can drain your auric field, can keep you from optimal functioning. And eventually they will manifest in your physical life. You will get health issues, you will get financial problems. Dr. Williams pretty much said, you show me someone who's had unexpected financial losses, I'll show you someone who had them pending in their etheric body that we could have stopped if we had got to them in time. Who would like to be stopping things from manifesting in your life and getting to them in time and being on purpose? Absolutely, I'm big for that. I accept that being part of the human experience gets some shit happening, but I certainly don't want to have any I don't need. What do we mean by auric attachments? I mean, I could keep you here for hours, and for time's sake, I'm going to keep it very simple. Give you an example. There's occupants, which means when we start to put a lot of emotional energy into a traumatic experience, like we were cheated on, we find our partner in bed with someone else, we just lost a whole lot of money on a trade. If we hold onto it and put energy, it becomes an identity within your being. It starts to function independently within you. And very similar to its, which is a further soul fragment. So let's just say that you suddenly wake up one day and you've had a mandate against you to get an experimental vaccine. Not that that would ever happen, but let's say that happens, and you just freeze, and next minute you got this trauma. I think many people are still in PTSD to this day from COVID. They're kind of sitting there in this kind of tension, waiting for the government to come next, because they've still got IDs, still got occupants from that whole COVID 2 or 3 years. Who knows? Just type me if you know you still have some of that going on in you. That really kind of messed you around a bit etherically and energetically. Yeah, most of you probably have. One of my sons made the observation. He said everyone that stood up during COVID seems to still be traumatized and have PTSD at some level. He's studying psychology, and he said this to me about a year ago. He said the people who really spoke out and stood out, because it was a shock for people to see their freedom so blatantly violated. So archetypes like shadow selves that play out within us, like we have a abandonment, we have an issue about father, so we end up becoming like a tyrant. People like Putin, Donald Trump, at some level would have had that going on in them, no doubt. Then you've got this thing that's well known by the American Indians, by the indigenous healers, but in the West we're very unaware about beings who cross over, who die, but don't actually cross over properly and get stuck in the fourth dimension and are feeding on people's energy. This is a whole topic in itself that we will not go into too much today. Wormholes and portals, a lot of my clearings I'm doing. I remember in the last decade, I was having to do a heap of clearings on portals and wormholes, just from governments, from parents, from former partners, all kinds of stuff that was draining my energy, and basically getting this cleared. At one stage, I had a 2-year fight with the Legal Practice Board, and I couldn't seem to stop it. And eventually I discovered I had a portal or wormhole coming into me. And once I cleared all that out and got all the energy blocks cleared out, within a matter of days, I managed to find a solution and sort the whole thing out. In terms of how we clear these, we just use an auric clearing protocol, which we walk you through. We clear your auric field, your etheric body, by scanning your dimensional light body. We use higher esoteric language, energy directing techniques and codes to communicate with your higher self, where we just direct you and get you into a more lower brain state, or rather a more calmed brain state, so you can clear and process energies. So we can permanently transmute these attachments and clear you once and for all. You then start to recover golden soul fragments that represent pearls of wisdom from the issue being cleared, and you start to instantly feel back to yourself and who you really are. And I do this, like I said, so regularly. At the end of an auric clearing, we download new core, new templates, and new soul programming from your higher self to step into a new way of being. I'm doing this kind of stuff on the next level right now to help me expand into the US, because we're expanding this work heavily into the US. So I know I've got to need a new version of myself, a much more bigger version of myself. So I'm clearing everything out that's etherically blocking me and keeping me small. You start to embody a higher frequency as you integrate the clearing. Plus, your reality changes and you attract new people, places, times, things, and events resonating with your higher frequency. And the great thing about this is you are actually following a proven scientific formula, protocol, so to speak, in terms of doing this. So you are retraining your brain to an optimal frequency for processing. And the final step, very straightforward, you just got to integrate it into your life. So we do sessions with you to help you do that, give you time to integrate it and actually live this, so it isn't just like watching a Netflix movie or drinking coffee, but you get a real change in your life. So we do Change Your Energy, Change Your Life protocol, which comes from Raymond Grace's stuff, which I mentioned about how to transform your energy. So we actually do work with you to help you transform and clear your energy. We help you to start to manifest better things 24/7. And we even give you access to a course, which you can watch if you want to, which I did, to help you clear your energies and clear your, and learn how to manifest more successfully and harness your focus better. Because what you learn is that nothing exists until you observe or label it. And as an example, I can remember when I had really severe arthritic symptoms, I just kept saying to people, I've got arthritic symptoms, but I know they're clearing. Because I knew the moment I said I've got arthritis, guess what? I do. The moment I say I've got an autoimmune condition, I do. The moment I say my son's got ADHD, he has. The moment I say I'm broke, I am. So I never would say I'm broke. If I had money challenges, I'd say I'm temporarily out of funding. I'm a venture capitalist who just needs more money. I'm just temporarily out of funding. If I was feeling like arthritic or autoimmune, I'd say I've got temporary autoimmune-like symptoms, but I'm already in the process of healing them. They're an opportunity for me to go deeper and get more feedback and come back to my authentic self. Who thinks it's a better way to see it? A better way to see it, what I'm suggesting to you. Reframing everything. Type a Y if you can see that. Excellent. Excellent, good. So we help you to shift and transform these labels. We call it a recursive protocol where we show you disciplines and habits to change your wording, your life, what you speak, how you talk, because all that's got to change. Otherwise, it's really, your life won't change. So we've got various success stories. I mean, we've got some clients here I mentioned here, which we've done this work here, getting a heart rate variability cleared. This was actually a medical doctor, Dr. Shelby Aitchison, worked with William Ashton Jane from Queensland. Massive changes in her life and calmness and balancing her brain. We do a lot of stuff in terms of balancing brain. It's very effective. Sheldon, who's worked for many, many years, had tremendous results. And personally, I have used this in so many different levels. I have healed myself of various stuff. I have even got machinery videos proving of where I've done it before and after doing energy. I'm getting myself checked in my digestion and seeing the difference immediately before and afterwards. I've used this to fix my gallbladder, arthritic symptoms, autoimmune, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr virus. I had tinnitus for about 1.5 years, quite bad. And many of you know, like that, they showed nothing wrong. People told you it was for life. And all I said to them was, well, it may be for everyone else, but it's not for me. I just see it as a temporary feedback from my body to get me moving. And I just see it as God calling me on the telephone. And retraining my brain, doing clearing after clearing after clearing these days, hardly notice anything. It's like now my ear, my things back to normal. So I can say 1,000,000% integrity that I've lived this. I've lived it with my finances, I've lived it with my health. I can categorically say that this is an area I know better than just about anything else I know in my life, and better than just about most people, because to be frank with you, I can't tolerate sickness and ill health. I hate it. I can't stand being sick. I'm the worst whinger on planet Earth. I always say women are greater than me because women can do childbirth. I would be dead in a minute if I had to do childbirth. So I don't suffer, like, as those of you know, I don't suffer well at all. I get very upset by suffering. I hate it. So I've made it my mission to heal myself. Who here is a bigger wuss as me? Just type a Y if you're a man or woman and you're a total wuss. I'm a total wuss. That's what makes me good at this, by the way, because I complete and utter wuss. I do not like sicknesses, arthritic symptoms. I don't like autoimmune. I don't like having flus and viruses. I hate that shit, like with an absolute passion. So I hate poverty. I hate being broke. I hate toxic relationships. People say you can grow through it. I'm like, I don't want to grow through any of that shit. If I go through it, I'll deal with it at the time. I'm interested in living a fulfilled, prosperous, amazing life. So if you're here for that reason, then what we're doing is definitely going to be very effective for you, to help you do that. So continuing on, okay, so before we go through the program and what we're offering, I promised I'd finish within 75 minutes, and I've done it. So before we go through, and go through the program we're going to offer. I want to first thank you for coming. If you've kind of not interested in doing anything more, you're welcome to leave. If you'd like to hear what we got to offer and how we can help you live your purpose, we'll be doing that now. Otherwise, if you've got any questions, just type a Y in the chat if you've got a question, so we can wait for it before we go into the offer and how it will work. Just type a Y if you're keen to hear the offer, what we're going to be doing. Excellent. I can categorically say that investing in this area is the best thing you could ever do. I've spent most of my money, my life in doing this kind of stuff. So what we're going to do from here is I'm going to go through now, share more about the program and what we're offering if you're interested. Tom asks a question. Can clearings work on equipment around me? Have instances where I feel energy can make devices work better? Absolutely, Tom. I've used it on my mobile phone. I've used it on my computer equipment for EMFs. Absolutely, we can do all that kind of stuff with you. So, yeah, so the short answer is clearings can do that. You can shift anything from energy when you're taught and you know how to do it. How long, how much? You're about to find out soon. Tom, I fixed hearing aids of it. I feel hard to explain it to people though. Absolutely, totally. I've done it with tax work on clients. I've structured them. I've helped solve tax problems for them by clearing the energy for them. I just don't tell them I'm doing that. But I've done clearings doing that. I've done clearings to fix people's financial problems. We've seen debts with banks disappear, literally just disappear. We've seen speeding fines completely disappear, like they're not even on the system anymore. So there's many things that we've done with this. So this stuff was profound. It's life-changing. So any other questions before we go into this? Okay, because if not, we're going to get started and get on with this now. So it's really about helping you focus in and zero in and discover your purpose. That's the purpose of this program. So what is actually included in this Reconnect Your Soul Purpose program? It's a 3-month program involving the following. So I've already shared with you the 3 steps. So really it's the 3 steps that we've just shown you. So first basically is we're helping you remember your soul purpose, who you really are, why you were sent to Earth. So in this one here, we walk you through and help you discover your soul group. So we work with you to access your higher self and determine which soul group you belong to. We give you a clearing and activation to accelerate you into your God-given soul purpose. That's the first thing we do. So you're going to walk away knowing your soul group. The next one is learning about your unique soul gifts to help you execute. In other words, what's your main strength? Are you administrative? Do you have more of a power or truth or justice basis? What the creator, what is it that basically is mainly you that will help you execute? So clearing and activation to exercise it in line with your soul mission. Third is we start the process of the detox, where we to clear the shit out of you. So we do the Auric Etheric Body Clearing that we mentioned for you to clear out your chakras and etheric body. We use ancient mystery school and scientifically backed protocols to get you back in flow, reconnected with your higher self. And we remove all the stuff we mentioned to you. The ents, occupants, unhelpful energies, including disembodied entities and spirits from your primary chakras. And then we do it from your 8 morphogenetic and the draining portals and wormholes. Then we do an energetic detox session where we clear specific issues using a checklist by Raymond Grace, what we learned from him, which we do on ourselves, and we'll take you through this, clearing out a whole lot of stuff. So we check your energies in relation to this list by dowsing and balancing your energies. Next one is we do a manifestation or change your energy protocol to help you manifest and start to master different outcomes and realities for your life. We help you change your energy and your intention, and in turn change your life and how to direct energy more successfully. We do that through the session, but also we give you access to a program, which I've done, which teaches you how to direct energy and transform it. We remove blockages like financial, mental, emotional, trauma, relationships, health. And seventh and finally, we help you integrate the sessions to live it in your daily life, which of course is most important, to prosper yourself, others, and leave a powerful legacy. And I love this particular one here, that make absolutely sure that if you're going to leave a legacy, make a mark on the world that can't be erased. And I love this one. This is what I'm aiming to do. I want the awakening within our spiritual teaching and esoteric stuff to go and change the world. I am keen to do that. I want to see things sorted out. I want to see a different world. And basically, I want to see an end of unnecessary wars. And I'm basically crazy enough to believe I can do it. So yes, I'm crazy. I'm out there, but I'm crazy enough to believe we can do it. And just need enough people to learn this stuff and run this legacy with me. And hopefully some of you are going to be part of that team. So we discussed the next steps to continue your journey to prosperity and transformation and really living your path and your purpose. And we've got lots of different recorded trainings as part of this, because the reality is I like to watch Netflix or watch Foxtel at home, so I can do it my own. So for some of you, it's difficult for you to come to trainings live like this, and I appreciate those of you who've done so. So we'll be giving you a lot of stuff which you can access and do it in the comfort of your own home, on your phone, in your own time. So we'll be giving you access to soul groups and soul gifts training for you to go over this in your own time. We'll be giving you access to Auric Clearing Protocol, so after you've had your sessions, you can continue to do it like having a bath. And we'll be giving you access to the 10-class manifestation program. You can direct your energy and transform your life. So this is a bit of a summary and recap of what you're going to be getting. So you're going to be getting the soul groups session, the soul gift session, the Auric Etheric Body Clearing sessions, the integration session, the 1 checklist clearing session, and the 7-step manifestation protocol, and lots of recorded bonuses for the program and 3 months and 30 days after. So in terms of the value of the program, and look, I'm not really into kind of making up figures, which often gets done, I'm very aware. These are actually the kind of what we've charged people to do this stuff. In fact, the manifestation training I charged $19.97 when I first did it, so to speak, but $9.97 reflects what I think that's what we've been selling it for. So $6,985. What we're going to be doing is offering it with a special deal and bonuses to save you money. Basically, you're looking at $19.97, and we do also have a payment plan available, and I will take you to the page to show you, walk you through it. Plus, for prompt action takers who are here today, we're going to be offering you a 25% discount. So for you being here today, we're going to be giving you that. So what you'll need to basically do is we're going to be getting a special early bird code. So basically, the early bird code, I'll be putting that in the chat for you, just so you know that code, and we won't be kind of mentioning it on the replay, so to speak. It's only for people who are actually live. So I'm going to be taking questions any minute. I've just noticed some starting to come through. But yes, you'll be getting a 25% discount if you take action, basically, and pretty much say, I'm ready to go. So the basically prompt action taker code. If you've already done this one, by the way, then basically for some of you, you're like, well, I've already done this one. Is yes, there's actually some other stuff we can do with you as part of that one, where we will be taking you further on more advanced manifestation, energy clearing, and protocols. So I know a couple of you are asking me that and sending me messages. So I'm a big believer in a guarantee. If you sign up for this one and you realize pretty much that after you've done your first session, it's not for you, or within the next 14 days, no problem. You can just say, no, not for me. So I'm a big believer in doing that because I know this stuff works. So if you sign up in excitement and you change your mind, you can do so, no problem. So how do you take this offer up? It's simple. I'm going to take you to the landing page right now so you can do this one and reconnect your soul purpose. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. In fact, someone's already beat me to it. The promo code is written in the chat for you. So basically, when you walk through this, I will explain this to you and show you. It's all written in here for you to walk through. And then when you watch this, you can see this here. There's all this stuff that we can do. And look, as I would say, I'd make no hesitation. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for this stuff. Really, what's, $19.97 with a discount to basically get your purpose in line, make some money, and change your life. All you need to do is just get on track and very quickly make a bit of extra money from being on purpose and being inspired, and you've already recovered the cost of it. And you've got a money back guarantee to make sure that there's nothing in the way of doing it. So really the only reason you won't do it today is just not for you. You've gone, nah, it sounds great, Warren. It really isn't for me. If that's the case, no problem. Thanks for coming. No issue whatsoever. I want people doing this who you know that. So basically, this is what you're getting: the 7 private one-on-one, the bonus programs, the personal support, and the program access. The other thing I've got here too is if you go, look, Warren, I really don't want to do all that, but I'm happy just to do part of it. We do have self-guided journeys where you can just buy the manifestation direct, for example. So you can purchase the manifestation direct rather than do the whole program. If any of those things done it more than other and you want to save money, you can do that. But for those of you who want to take advantage, you'll pretty much find that by the time you got the 25% discount, you're pretty much getting all of this for most of it for free. So it really would make sense to go ahead and do that. But we'd like to give people the option. Okay, so are there questions for you, basically? One final thing I'll mention here is people always ask us that, and the answer is spiritual awakening and transforming is an ongoing thing. You want to wake up, you want to clean up, and then you want to keep showing up and growing up. So we're hoping to meet people who become committed to this journey and become part of our mystery school. So let's just go through the final questions. So I've got a few ones coming here. What's the time commitment each week? Honestly, it's up to you. I would normally save a couple of hours to watch the recordings, Tennille. I'd say 2 hours. When you have your session, which will be every fortnight, that will be about an hour. So I would say between 2 to 3 hours a week would do that. So 2 to 3 hours a week. In terms of how long, how much, for Sue, well, now you know how much, and it's a 3-month program. My experience is you need a minimum 3 months or 90 days to fast track this. And then, of course, for those of you who are really keen, we have options for you to do after that. Any other questions from anyone? Just send me a message or why if you're keen and to do this and to sign up for this, or you already decided that you want to do this or something along this line with us. Just send us a why. So we got some idea. Excellent, having a few whys already. Will this be available in the future? I have no idea about the future with that. At the moment, I would say probably. Is it going to be available this price in this format? I'm not sure. Tennille, I've tried a lot of healing modalities, haven't really experienced many shifts. Do you think this will work for me? Look, it's a good question. I'll give you an honest answer, Tennille. There's 2 parts for this to work. One is you and one is us, okay? One is you and one is us. I've categorically, what we're doing here, we've seen tremendous results for people. We have our enhanced protocols, which I've learned just about every mystery school, and learned about the power of manifestation and being able to change. I've personally healed myself of all the different things I've told you. I literally manifested $100,000 a month in a business just by doing this. But in saying all that, you've got to put the work in. So it will work for you if you put the work in, and we can assure you that if you sign up for it and you're committed, we will go all out to work with you. And if there's blocks, we will work to fix it. Because at the end of the day, if we get the results of you, you'll be a raving advocate for us with many other people. That's the honest answer. But it's going to depend on you too, because if you're coming in with a suspicion or I don't know if it'll work for me, then it probably won't. There's been studies on people who suffered great skepticism from being traumatized or burnt. And then what tends to happen is that they carry that over and keep repeating the same experience. And that's why Dr. Venus Williams discovered people often end up going back and forth into toxic relationships. What we can tell you is the etheric body clearing that we do will clear out the etheric body of the past trauma and the IDs. And you can even ask the etheric clearer that works with you to specifically do a clearing around, unbelief or fear, but it won't work for you because of what you've experienced before. And we can clear that out of you so you can come into a fresh mind. To give you a bit of an idea, there was an article in the Oxford Medical Journal about a true story about someone who got healed of their brain tumor because they honestly believed the drug would heal them. They then found out that the drug had failed its testing. They then became convinced it wouldn't work, and then they got their brain tumor back and they actually died. This was a real story. And I've seen this happen with people. I had a friend who did the same gallbladder detox program I did, and my son did, and others had fixed it. They never fixed from it. They admitted later they just didn't believe it would work for them because their life always seemed to go wrong. So at the end of the day, if you really work hard enough, you can sabotage it. That's the honest answer. But I'm sure that's not what you want. So look, we can assure you that that's what we would be working on. You just need to tell the etheric healer honestly and upfront that, yeah, you do have doubts because you've experienced no shifts in the past and you want to clear that out of your etheric body. A long answer, but yeah, I understand that because I had the same issue myself. I spent years going to healers, getting nowhere, and I got to the point I was about to give up. And I worked with someone who did this with me in 2013 and just literally changed my life. Hopefully that answers you. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else got any concerns or questions? Because like I said, we just want to help you get the results. That's what we're keen. That's why we're doing this. Honestly, nothing excites me more than doing this kind of stuff. In fact, those of you who've known me for my financial business education, I'm already in the process of moving more into this right now because I've decided that this is the future that really interests me to help people shift in their lives and live amazing lives. And we do have a payment plan on there as well, by the way, you will notice. So if you complete the thing, there is a 4-month payment plan where it's broken up into installments. So you can pay less. So anyone else got any concerns or just want to know questions, want to understand it better? Yep, there's a payment plan. As soon as you sign up, then we'll be enrolling you and getting you started and getting the program underway. So anyone here who's done this program before, but they kind of want to basically do it again, but with a revised, more personalized version, just type Y, because I've noticed there are a couple of people who've done it before. Okay, well, if there's no further questions, everyone, thank you very much for attending tonight. I appreciate you giving up your time, which is so valuable. And I really look forward to seeing some of you as part of this program and changing your life massively. Someone said, can I get back my email in an hour? Look, you certainly can. I'm just going to give a couple of email addresses in here, support@awakeningwithin.net. And please feel free to email me, copy me in personally as well. Warren@awakeningwithin.net. So if you've got any questions, you can email me if you're keen to proceed, but just want to ask a couple of questions, please feel free to email us at support@awakeningwithin.net and copy Warren@awakeningwithin.net. So thank you, Carmel. Thank you for those who are signing up and joining in. But yes, get back to us within an hour and we will happily help you get on the way. Thank you, everyone, and bye for now.